I'm Chris and this is the most horrible memory from my childhood days. When I was 9 years old my parents got separated. They were going through a complicated divorce. To keep me out of this they sent me to stay with my grandma. My grandma lived in a small town named Springdale. I shifted with her. My mom admitted me to the town school. Being the new kid in school is often challenging. In my case, I had bullies. There was a boy in my school named Scott. He was big in size than other kids of his age. Hence, he took full advantage of his strength. Every day from the moment of stepping inside the school Scott begins to paranoid kids with his gang. He often snatched my meal, pushed me hard on the ground and make me do his homework forcefully. I was already a shy kid with a troubled household. I knew if I tried to protest, he would cause more trouble for me. Unfortunately, Scott and I lived in the same area so he was completely capable of beating the shit out of me on my way home. There was no way I could talk about being bullied in school because they were already going through a lot. So, I just walked home with Scott while he kept making fun of me the entire time. Scott was not just mean to kids but he loved creating trouble in other people's lives too. He loved playing ding-dong ditch on our way home from school. It is still a popular outdoor game among kids. There were hardly people in the streets during the afternoon. So, Scott used to ring the bells of any random house and then run away. I had to run with him too. Sometimes Scott used to force me to ring someone's doorbell while he stood away and was ready to run any moment. For this stupid idea, I sometimes got caught by house owners and they scolded me for disturbing them. I had no other way than shook my head and hear the scolding with a sad face while Scott enjoyed the scene from far away. One day, I was coming home with Scott. It was a hot summer afternoon. There wasn't a single person on the road. Scott said, "Let's go to the kids' park. I'm thirsty." The kids' park in our locality had a drinking tap. I was reluctant to go there because it would be an extra 10 minutes walk for me. I said in a hesitated voice, I don't want to go to the park. I have to go home early today. My dad is coming to visit me." Scott slapped me on the head and said, "Come with me. I need someone to carry my bag." And then laughed like the meanest kid in the world. I had no choice because he would beat me more if I disagreed. We took a left turn ahead and started to walk towards the park. Needlessly to say, the park was completely empty. The swings were moving slowly in the wind. I stood beside the water tap holding Scott's school bag while he drank water. I was standing quietly when my eyes went to the other side of the park. I haven't been to this park much maybe, which is why I never noticed the surroundings properly. That day I saw a small wooden house standing on the opposite side of the park. Surprisingly, it was the only house in that barren area. It felt like the town people have kicked out the owner of this house to live alone. "Looks spooky, no?" Scott said to me. I looked at him, and asked, "Who lives there?" Scott took his bag from my hand and said, "The madman." I obviously thought this was one of his stupid jokes but I didn't see him smiling or laughing once after saying that. "What do you mean by that?" I replied. Scott pointed towards the house and said, "There lives an old man whom the town people call the madman. People say he murdered his wife and got away with it. The cops never found her body nor the murder weapon. He was taken into custody for being a suspect behind his wife's sudden disappearance but there wasn't single evidence against him. Being honest, this story did scare the hell out of me." I said in a nervous voice, We should be going home now. My grandma will start looking for me." Scott laughed and said, "Someone just chickened out it seems." I was already enough scared to argue with him so I started to walk as fast as I could. I heard Scott's voice coming from the background, "See you tomorrow, moron. Walk faster before the madman gets you." That night I had a terrible dream. I saw I was standing near the wooden house. The house was completely silent as if no one is alive inside it. Suddenly I heard a weird sound, coming from the window on the left. As I got close to the window and looked inside the house, I saw a creepy-looking man with a big knife in his hand already standing there and watching me. I woke up covered in sweat that morning. During lunch at school, Scott again started to make fun of me for being scared about the wooden house near the park. The more he laughed, I felt how small I am. A sense of anger took me over and I said in a loud voice, "I am not scared of some stupid scary story, Scott." Scott replied, "Oh, really? Then let's try out your courage today. I also want to see how brave you are, moron." And started laughing again. I said, "Fine. Tell me, what do I have to do?" Scott's eyes dazzled immediately. I knew he is going to come up with his bizarre ideas to get me in trouble. But that day I was also adamant to give up. Maybe I thought if this one time I can prove myself, Scott will finally agree to leave me alone. Scott said, "How about we play Ding Dong Ditch after school? You will start with the madman's house. Are you up for that?" I said, "Yeah, let's do it." Scott and I started to walk towards the park after school. He was constantly making fun of me. I was really angry, so I avoided him and kept walking quietly. As soon as we took the turn towards the park, my heartbeat grew fast. I just realized what a stupid move I made. We stopped after reaching the middle of the park. The wooden house was standing like yesterday. Scott said in a whispering voice, "Ready, Chris?" I looked at him and started to walk towards the house porch. I was praying to God that let me get over this as quickly as possible. I went to the house porch and stood in front of the door. The doorbell was on my right side. I turned back and saw Scott was hiding behind a bush at some distance and watching me with a mocking smile. I rang the bell twice and ran like a cheetah. There was a big tree at some distance. I immediately went behind it and hid. 5 seconds went by, a minute passed by, but no one opened the door or even made a single sound. Scott gestured with his hand and told me to ring the bell again. I again walked to the door and without wasting a single second rang the doorbell and ran towards the bush where Scott was hiding. I said in a proud voice, "So? I ranged the madman's doorbell not just once but twice, Scott." And laughed like a king. I saw Scott's face turning red in anger. He probably felt ashamed for losing to me. He got up and said, "I can do this too. Watch, moron." He then carelessly walked towards the porch. Suddenly my eyes went to the window and I felt someone moved inside. I said in a loud voice, "Scott, come back. Enough now." Scott turned at me and said, "I will show you what's enough. I am stronger than you." He walked to their main door and started to ring the doorbell vigorously. He was about to come back, the door opened unexpectedly. Someone grabbed his hand. Scott started to scream like a baby. I got up from the bush and saw a horrifying-looking man standing on the porch grabbing Scott. The man said in a squeaky, creepy voice, "I have been waiting for this moment for so long. I hope you don't scream like the last one." He then licked Scott's left cheek with his ugly, black tongue. I screamed at the top of my lungs. The man started to pull Scott inside. Scott was screaming and trying to get away like a caged bird. Suddenly, I saw a big rock lying beside the bush. I picked it up and threw it on the madman. The rock hit him so hard that I could almost hear his skull cracking. The man fell on the floor while screaming in terrible pain. Scott freed himself in that second and we ran for our lives. Scott didn't come to school for 5 days. We heard he caught a high fever. I shifted back with my mom the very next week saying I don't like this place and every other trouble I had in school. But I never told anyone about the madman and the wooden house. I don't know where is Scott now or the house still exists or not, but honestly, I don't even want to know. Thank you for watching. Please support my channel.